wonderful little unicorns, and welcome back to my channel. If this is the first time that I have the pleasure to welcome you to my channel, I'm Vanessa Somuayina and welcome to the fam. So you guys, today's reading is all about the changes that are coming for you. And I'm like in a super chill mood. I just want to create the best readings possible. So if during the readings, I lean back in my chair, it's all just because I want to be comfortable in order to channel, the best messages for you guys, in order to read as accurately as possible. So you guys don't take it as slouching. I just want to create the best readings. So we have 4 groups today, and I would like you to pick one of these 4 groups intuitively. So if you feel like you need a minute just to meditate on the cards, feel free to do so. So regarding the groups, we have the Garnet, we have the Hiddenite, we have the Ametrine, as well as the Amber. So the timestamps are down below in the description box, so feel free to fast forward to your reading by clicking your corresponding timestamp. And also, if this is the first time that you've tuned in, I just wanted to let you know that if you somehow feel drawn to 2 minerals, to 2 or 3 stones, then feel free to tune into 2 or 3 readings. There's absolutely no shame in the multiple groups game. So you guys, as usual, feel free to start discussions in the comment section. Feel free to let me know what really hit home and what you really felt resonated with you. And for all you beautiful unicorns out there who have been with me for a hot minute, make sure that you give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it and found it insightful. That really helps my channel and pushes my video forwards to the people who need them the most. So yeah, guys, I want to keep this intro very short and to the point so we can spend more time in the readings. So I'm going to start off with the first group, which corresponds to the Garnet. Hello, group number 1, and welcome to your reading about what's coming next for you. So you chose the Garnet. So group number 1, first and foremost, I want to speak to you about why you may have chosen the Garnet. So the Garnet is a beautiful mineral, so that may be first and foremost the reason why it resonated with you. But also the Garnet is for those who need to get in touch with their depth, for people who need to start to get things done that they know they should be doing. So for singers who aren't singing, writers who aren't writing, for people who can sometimes feel a little lost in this likes-driven and very materialistic culture that we're in right now. So the Garnet is for those who need to get in touch with their focused side and, truly make sure that they're living their passion. So let's move further into your reading, group number 1. Okay, so group number 1, we have the Zebra Stone, we have Butterflies in Gloom, we have Strength, we have Self-Reliance, we have the Garnet, as already mentioned, we have Celebration, Courage, Beauty and the Beast, as well as the Aquamarine. So group number 1, first and foremost, the change that is coming for you next in your life is self-reliance. So I definitely see that there may be something popping up in your life that you need to do all by yourself, that up until that point you haven't really felt comfortable to do by yourself, or you've always felt like you needed somebody with you. So self-reliance is something that is super valuable. It is in fact invaluable. So maybe you're in a relationship that is a little codependent. Maybe you're in a relationship that is not healthy because of that, and you're going to be pushed out of that comfort zone of being in a relationship with someone where you, for instance, always go grocery shopping together, or you always go out to bars together, or you always go for dinner together, and all of a sudden there is going to be a situation where you have a project where you're going out, where you're doing something that you usually do with other people, and all of a sudden you have to be self-reliant and you have to make sure that you're confident in your abilities and what you're doing, be it with other people or alone. So group number 1, this may be exactly what you needed to push you from this mindset of feeling like you need somebody to be with you, or you need some sort of encouragement, to doing things by yourself. So even if you're somebody who is very self-reliant, there's always, parts of us that gets used to doing it with other people, or that relies on having other people to help us. And the healthiest situation is obviously if you can conquer basically nearly everything by yourself. So group number 1, I definitely see, large improvements coming in that department, and you being able to fly solo without being fearful. So in Celebration, I definitely see that going out and having fun is something that is coming to you very soon. So going out and having fun may be something that you've deprived yourself of recently, or you sort of felt guilty doing it, or maybe there just hasn't been an occasion to celebrate. But I definitely see that celebration is something that is coming into your life as a surprise. It's something that you maybe didn't expect, and it is a nice change. It's a pleasant change. It's a change that gets you, out there, makes you sort of socialize and have fun, more fun that you've had until this point, and that may be exactly what you need right now. So moving further into your reading, we have strength and courage. So this is a really powerful duo. This is something that truly shows that you may be challenged in life, that you may sort of need strength. But at the same time, strength is here for you to utilize. As I see that there's a reason why you've tuned into this reading. There's a reason why the universe sent you here. So I want you to know that you are strong and that you have courage, and all you need to do is tap into it and sort of like discover it, or say rediscover it. So especially with the fact that you have to be self-reliant at some point in the very near future, I definitely see that you have to see it not as something negative. You have to see this as a way for you to truly explore a side of you that you maybe haven't tapped into enough, or it's just basically going to allow you to become stronger, more courageous, and somebody who can basically do anything that they want by themselves, a boss. So in strength, I definitely see that, you'll get through to the other side. It may be tough, but at the end of the day, a lot of things that don't kill us make us stronger. Some things make us weaker, but some things make us stronger. And I definitely see that this is one of those situations. And you have to look for the gift in these situations. You have to look for, what can I learn? What can I take from this situation? How can I benefit from learning the hard way or going through a tough, very rough patch? And in courage, I see you need to know that you're safe. Fear is nothing but an illusion, and you have to set boundaries between yourself and fear, because if you don't allow boundaries between yourself and fear, then fear can basically do whatever it wants in your life, and that is such a dangerous place to be in. So know that fear is something that is just in your head. Know that fear is just an illusion. That is really all that it is, because fear is not yet something horrible happening. Fear is not when something bad has happened. It's just the fear of something happening, the fear of, what if something goes wrong? What if I don't succeed? What if so-and-so actually ends up happening? And it's just what if prophecies, but it doesn't mean that it's actually going to happen. So obviously, if you're very fearful, that can often attract these outcomes that you're afraid of, because the universe can't tell between, oh, I don't want this, or I'm fearful about this. No, the universe just sees that you're constantly talking about this thing that strikes fear in you, that makes you feel anxious, and that is what it'll attract into your life. That is what you will be attracting into your life. So make sure that you have the courage to see fear for what it is, that it's an illusion, and set boundaries so that you don't end up actually attracting your fears into your life. So I know it sounds really weird to be attracting what you're afraid of, but basically like attracts like. So if you're constantly surrounded by fear, and you're constantly surrounded by thinking about this possible outcome that may not even happen just out of fear, you may just attract more fear back and more bad luck. So be aware of that, and know that the change that you need is courage and distance from fear. In the butterflies in bloom, I definitely see that you need to know that after any sort of season, any sort of moment of sadness, happiness and hope is something that always returns and will always sort of have a big part in your life, if you know what I mean. So keep in mind that happiness as well as sadness, they can't exist without each other. So know that this duality is a necessity in life. Know that it is something that we all need to deal with. And there is always really great sadness at certain points in life, but there are also, mega highs, amazing highs. And how you react to times of sadness and how you let it affect you is up to you. So try to not let sadness drag you down too much. But then on the other side, when there is something to celebrate, hype that ish up, okay? Make that the most amazing thing, no matter how little the reason to celebrate is. Make sure that you make those feelings of happiness great and grand, and moments of sadness, you know, keep them sort of like confined. Don't allow them to expand however they like. Make sure that you allow sadness in your life and you allow grief, but don't allow it to take over and start basically doing what it wants unattended. You know, make sure that you're always supervising any sort of negative or sad emotions. In Beauty and the Beast, I definitely see that one of your relationships is going to need some space. So I see that as change coming for you. I see that as something different, as something that you maybe have never experienced before. So maybe you're about to move out from home, or you feel like you and your partner have been spending so much time together that your relationship would benefit from a little bit of space. So don't be afraid of that. Know that in the aquamarine, you know, it is connected to your throat chakra and it stands for courage. Yes, we have already had courage in your reading, but that was a different type of courage. This courage has everything to do with you and this relationship, where you need a bit of space and where you need a bit of distance. So don't be afraid to channel your inner voice that is calm and gentle, not in a mean way, just says like, hey, I think we could benefit from me taking a little bit of time to myself and you taking a little bit of time to yourself. And it doesn't have to have a negative effect as long as you make sure that it doesn't. So definitely give yourself enough space from relationships that you feel you've gotten a little bit too dependent on each other, because, you know, being self-reliant will be a lot easier once you've established space in your relationships and you don't feel codependent. So being close is great. Being close is something that you wouldn't want to trade for the world with somebody who you truly love, but at the same time, codependency is where being close can slide off to, and that is a dangerous space to be in. So make that change of already sort of setting a little bit of boundaries, making a little bit of space, so being self-reliant won't be such a big sort of scary hurdle for you. Then in the zebra stone, I definitely see have compassion with yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself. So obviously, you know, this is all change that is coming for you in your life, and I want you to see these messages as something encouraging. I want you to be compassionate with yourself. I don't want you to be knocking yourself down because, you know, you got the fact that, oh, maybe you're codependent, you know, maybe you need to take a little bit more time to celebrate, or you need to be more courageous. We all have things that we need to work on, and without working on ourselves and without constant change and evolution, things would be boring. Things would always be the same and we would never be better. So know that having compassion with yourself, not being so hard on yourself, can work wonders. Also, in order to, you know, take bigger steps forward and to progress in life. So don't be so hard on yourself. Definitely give yourself a little bit of a time out, and know that change takes time. Know that, you know, these changes in your life, it may take a few weeks, it may take a few months. These things may be things that you're slowly working on for years. But either way, be kind to yourself, be compassionate, and know that we all have struggles. I have struggles, you have struggles, the person next to us has struggles, and it's fine because we're all on this journey of life and we all have things that we're trying to work on and we're trying to make better. So group number 1, that is the reading that I received for you. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you found it insightful, and I will see you in my next reading. Hello group number 2, and welcome to your reading about the changes that are coming for you. So you chose the Hiddenite. So first and foremost, I want to explain to you why you may have chosen this stone. So aside from the fact that this is a gorgeous stone, you may also have been drawn to it for the following reasons. So the Hiddenite is for anybody who is too stuck in the past and worrying about the past, or too stuck in the future and worrying about the future. For anybody who needs to learn to live in the moment, for anybody who needs to be mindful and just sort of remember that, you know, life is happening now, right now in the present moment. It didn't, you know, what was before, okay, it's happened, but you're not living in before and you're not living in the future either. So you have to make the changes now to create your future. And if you're just worrying now, you will never be creating the future because you're too busy worrying about the past or the future now. So yes, there is a lot in worrying about the future that you can sort of do to not worry, but you actually need to do it instead of worrying. So group number 2, let's move further into your reading. So we have originality, face your fears. We have awareness, we have anger, we have Alice in a Sea of Tears, we have the Deep Dark Sea Mermaid, the Carnelian, as well as the Green Aventurine. Okay, so group number 2, let's move straight into your reading about the changes coming for you. So group number 2, I definitely see in Face Your Fears as well as Originality, I see that there are changes coming for you where you're going to have to face your fears, and it's going to have a lot to do with you being yourself, with you being this individual, not being ashamed of who you are, and embracing your originality. So you definitely have to embrace blazing your own trail. I definitely see that group number 2, you may be going off on a different path, on a tangent that you may have never expected. So you may end up studying something that you feel like your family or your friends may not approve of, or you feel like you're taking on a hobby that is weird or that people around you won't approve of. But the cohesiveness that you have in any of those scenarios, those of course are only examples, or the fact that you're not pleasing others. So I definitely see that you're going to have to face your fear of being different, of standing out in a way that people can point out negatives about, and also of maybe letting people down, letting your family down, letting your friends down, sort of letting a part of yourself down that thought, oh, I'm going to be a lawyer or an engineer or a doctor, or any of those typical sort of professions that friends, family would be proud of. If you end up changing your path and blazing your own trail, being the original you, it can be really tough, it can be really hard. And that also may be why you chose the Hiddenite, because you're really worried to let people down. You really feel like that is something that you don't want to do, but at the same time, you're torn, as I see that you do want to release the power of fear, and you do want to blaze your own trail and be original, but it's just like you're in a weird place in the middle of it. So I want you to know that at the end of the day, blazing your own trail, going on your own path, whatever path that may be, as long as it makes you happy and as long as it fulfills you, everything else will follow. Your friends will follow, your family will follow. Anybody who is meant to be in your life and anybody who truly loves and supports you is going to follow, and it's not going to be hard for them to recognize that you're happy and to just embrace you and all of your original traits and all of the things that contradict themselves in you, everything that makes you weird or quirky. Know that anybody who is meant to be in your life is going to have absolutely no problem with that. So if that is a fear of yours, know that, this change is coming soon, where you have this sort of moment of clarity where you're like, hey, that is so true. I don't need to be anybody else but myself. So face your fears of being different and release the power that it holds on you, because fear is something that holds so much power over us that can truly, make our lives into something we never wanted it to be. However, once you release fear and you let go of allowing it to have power in your life, amazing things can start to happen, and you're all of a sudden going to have so much less vibrational friction in your life that you feel like you won the lottery and things are just moving effortlessly. So let's move further into your reading. In the Carnelian, I see that self-confidence is something that is going to change for you very soon. So I definitely feel like, as we have the Carnelian, very fiery sort of energy, I definitely see that you will have this flame ignite inside of you where you're like, I'm confident, I'm beautiful, I can do this. Like, nobody can tell me that I can't. And it is going to be a very distinct, strong feeling of empowerment. And group number 2, this is something that I have recently been experiencing, and I see you experiencing this change soon, where you go from you know, being okay and not being in a bad place, but all of a sudden you feel so empowered to do what you want to do. All of a sudden that you've let go of fears, or you've hit a point in your life where all of your fears basically came true and there was nothing you could do about it. You just had to keep grinding and keep trying to make things work. And all of a sudden that boosts your confidence, funnily enough, because you're like, things can't get any worse, so what can I do? I mean, it's either I drown in sorrow, either I drown in a place where I'm not happy, or I just finally be confident. So group number 2, if you're watching this and you know you're young, I definitely want you to also keep in mind that self-confidence is something that you should be exerting. Self-confidence is something that you should have now. Don't wait till you're 30, 40, 50, 60 and you think to yourself, why didn't I embrace myself in my teens? I was so gorgeous. I had, you know, no worries. Why didn't I embrace my 20s? Why did I feel so insecure about myself just because, you know, all of these photoshopped images of people who don't even exist, because that isn't real, are all over the media? Why did I allow myself to feel that way just because of something that I had no influence over? So make sure that if you're somebody who is young and you're watching this video, there is a reason why you tuned into this reading, and I want you to know that you must embrace yourself now. Don't feel regretful later, because I can't tell you the amount of people that I heard that say, hey, in my 20s, I wish I would have worn those short dresses more because I had an amazing bodies. In my 20s or in my teens, I wish I would have experimented more. I wish I would have traveled the world because I had the time, I had the courage, and I was young. I didn't have kids, or I didn't have other responsibilities. So definitely have the courage to embrace yourself now. Have the courage not to wait, and keep in mind that there's nothing to be ashamed of. There's nothing to be fearful of. If you feel like wearing that dress that's been sitting in your closet for years, that you felt like, oh, it's too much, or I can't rock it, who cares? As long as it's something that you've always wanted to do and you know you can feel comfortable in, and all that you're worrying about is what other people may think of you or how other people may see you, that sounds like a them problem, and you need to keep that completely separate, okay? Obviously the dress thing is just an example. So there are so many other things that you may wanted to do, but you were so sort of afraid of how it may look or how it may come off as. So definitely don't allow that to stand in the way of you being yourself and being original. So let's move further into your reading, group number 2. In Alice in a Sea of Tears, I definitely see that the change that may come for you very soon is the fact that you may sort of feel a little cast away. You may sort of feel a little bit like you don't know where home is, you don't know who you truly are, and you just sort of feel, you know, almost like a little bit of an outcast. So that is also why originality has shown it up in your reading, and the fact that you need to start to own that you're different. Because if not, one of the things that may happen is the fact that you stay stranded and cast away on this island of feeling isolated for too long. So I want you to keep in mind that even people who are really quirky and different have friends, they have family. Just because they don't seamlessly fit in doesn't mean that they don't have, you know, a social life. It doesn't mean that they have to be alone. So definitely don't allow that feeling to prevail or to make you afraid to sort of bond with people or have strong relationships. As I see in the Deep Dark Sea Mermaid, that you can find solutions to these issues in places that you never expected. So, you know, issues being the fact that you have to be proud of who you are regardless of what friends and family think, and that, you know, everything will just follow as soon as you allow that to happen. I definitely see that that may be an issue that you're dealing with. That may be something that you're afraid of, that you have to face. I definitely see that in the darkness and in times where you feel cast away, where you feel really lonely and almost like you don't fit in anywhere, is often where you start to see a light and you start to realize, like, I can't do this, you know, I can't be in this deep dark place. And the only person who can get you out of any darkness or out of that feeling of, you know, being different and not fitting in is you. As long as you make yourself comfortable and you make yourself be like, hey, I fit in, like, I'm a little different, but whatever, this is my friend circle, this is my family circle, you know, claim your relationships. If you're in a friend group and, you know, you guys are true friends, even if you're the odd one out. Never allow that to be that feeling that prevails. Always claim the friendships, the relationships in your life, no matter how polar opposite you are from the people in those. In the green Ametrine, I definitely see that one of the changes coming in your life is a lot of new opportunities, as I see that this is connected to your heart chakra, and the fact that you are able to open your heart will allow more opportunities to flow into your life and more opportunities to present themselves to you for you to sort of go with and take advantage of. So group number 2, I definitely want you to keep an open mind and open eyes for these new opportunities in your life. They could be financially, they could be in love. Either way, I definitely see that this is something that you should start to become aware of. The fact that life is full of opportunity, is full of different scenarios where however you decide, that could make a big impact in your life. So remember that you're always one choice away from a completely different life. And the more of those choices that you make to your advantage and to move towards your dream life, the closer you're going to get, the more your life is going to change day by day by day. So know that the choice of being happy, the choice of being unhappy, the choice of following your dreams, the choice of being an original individual, the choice of being confident, all of those things totally can change, shape, and create your life. So know that you have the power every day in every little decision that you make. In awareness, I see living in the moment is something that you will partake in a lot more, and I definitely see that being conscious of your thoughts is something that will teach you to be more in the moment and more aware. So as I already mentioned, you will start to notice that every little choice makes a difference in your life, and that will allow you to become more aware and to look out for signs of guidance. So, your gut feeling that you have deep inside of you of knowing what sort of decision you should make, I definitely see that is something that you're going to be looking out for a lot more. You're going to looking to it for help, for guidance, and for an idea of what is best for you to do. So in awareness, I definitely see that living in the moment is something that is for you. Living in the moment is something that you will slowly start to learn to do, because as we already had in the Hiddenite, that may be something that you're struggling with, being mindful, living in the moment, etc. So yeah, I definitely see a lot of change coming in those realms. Last but not least, in anger, I definitely see that finding a space to safely express anger, that is something that is essential for you. I definitely see that you have to start to use anger as a positive force, and remember that all of your emotions are sacred, all of your emotions are important, and none of them should be neglected or swept under a rug, or even worse, ignored. So make sure that you don't ignore any of your emotions, but use them to your advantage. So use anger to channel creativity. Use that rage in order to let it all out when you go to kickboxing class. Use any sort of emotion that makes you feel like you're boiling up on the inside for a sort of positive and creative outlet. So I know a lot of people feel like crying when they get very angry, or they feel like throwing something, hitting something. So when you truly sit down and think of how you can channel that energy into a different funnel to create something else at the end of the tunnel, that is when you start to truly, see that every emotion is valuable. So keep that in mind. Every sort of emotion, good or bad, angry or happy, is something that you can make use of in your life and you can learn of, and you don't need to allow it to dictate what you do and whether you completely lose yourself or not. So definitely have this sort of idea in mind. Use anger as a positive force. Make sure that you move forward using this information about anger in your reading in order to change how you use anger and any of those types of emotions in order to turn them into something positive, and to just really be able to constantly have good things happening for you in your life. So group number 2, that is the reading that I received for you. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you found it insightful, and I will see you in my next video. Hello, group number 3, and welcome to your reading about the changes coming for you. So you chose the Ametrine. So first and foremost, you may have chosen the Ametrine because it's gorgeous and purple, or because, you know, it is this balanced mixture between a citrine and a amethyst. And the energy that it puts out there is for those who are super indecisive, for Libras, Geminis, people who need pure inspo instead of, you know, purely having their head here, there, and everywhere. So group number 3, you may have chosen this stone because you need to finally make up your mind and because you need to finally start thinking big and making big things happen instead of thinking, oh, but what if I get to point so-and-so? What do I do then? Maybe I should do this instead of that, you know, just for any of those of you who are indecisive and who are overthinking the situation. So let's move further into your reading to get into the changes that are coming for you. Okay, so group number 3, we have your imaginary friend, we have the calcite, we have magic, we have go with the flow, the ametrine, the unicorn, action, the rutilated quartz, as well as bats and the belfry. So group number 3, first and foremost, I want you to know that one of the changes coming for you is the fact that letting things happen is going to be something that you may not have a choice over. So as I said, you may be like chronically indecisive right now, or you may sort of need to start, you know, doing big actions in order to make your big dream life happen. And I definitely see that, you know, once you start sort of making decisions, once you start taking the necessary steps towards where you want to be, things are just going to start flowing and you're just going to have to go with the flow. So if you're somebody who likes to plan every little thing, if you're somebody who overthinks a lot and likes to know exactly what is going on and exactly, you know, how they can help the situation or what they can do to sort of adjust, I want you to know that this may be a very difficult situation for you. This may be something that you're really uncomfortable with, especially if, you know, it has to do with work and it has to do with you sort of allowing somebody else to do work that you would usually do, with, you know, handing over any sort of responsibility. And obviously this could be work, this could be also somebody having the responsibility over taking care of your child, your pet. It's something that you usually take a lot of time to take care of and perfect and make sure that everything is going the way it should. So I definitely see that this may be really hard for you, but you just have to learn to trust. You have to learn to let go of any sort of worries and fears. And sometimes it's important for you to allow people to take over certain tasks, because often when you're really busy, you have to keep in mind that you can't do absolutely everything. Sometimes, you know, you have to ask for help and you have to let help happen, especially when people are offering it, because maybe you have friends or family who constantly offer their help, but you always decline because you don't want to be a burden, you don't want to make them feel like you can't do it by yourself, and you also just don't want to depend on people. You want to be independent and you're kind of like set in your ways of how you like to do things, and you like to know exactly what's going on, and giving that sort of responsibility to somebody else freaks you out. So group number 3, I definitely see that going with the flow, as uncomfortable as it may be for you, may just be something that is actually a blessing in disguise, because you're finally going to learn how to do it, and you're finally going to have to realize that just because I let somebody take care of my kid or my dog or my house for 5 minutes doesn't mean, you know, it's going to crash and burn. Like, other people have made it up until, you know, your age, maybe older, maybe younger, without anything big happening, without any big issues. So surely they can help you out without any huge issues. So in the unicorn, I definitely see that allowing, you know, flow to happen, vibrating on a level where, you know, you're just in harmony with the people around you and the things around you, with the nature. I see that that is something that will invite serendipity into your life. That is something that will invite positive change that you may not have seen coming, or you may have never expected coming. So I definitely see, the fact that you have magic in your reading. I see that once you start to see, going with the flow turning out really positively, and you being able to be more relaxed and even get more work done, as long as you just let things happen, and sometimes just go with whatever the program is, even if you didn't create the program. I definitely see that will not only invite serendipity, as the unicorn suggests, that will also allow you to start to believe in miracles and start making wishes. And I don't mean just, throwing wishes up in the air. I mean actually manifesting. So manifestation is something so powerful, and is something that only works if you really feel your goal, if you really allow yourself to immerse into the moment where you achieve that goal, where you're finally where you want to be. Once you start feeling all those emotions, that is when manifestations truly starts to work. That is when the wheels start to spin and everything starts to begin to move. So know that truly immersing yourself in the feeling of serendipity, and the feeling of magic, and the feeling of what your life could be if you just manifest properly, if you just make sure that you remain on the right track and you believe, that is something that I see coming for you as a big change. In action, I see that it is the perfect time to act for you. I see that you have to take inspired action towards your dream. You have to move forward confidently. So taking inspired action towards your dream is often, thinking outside of the box, but also not so much thinking outside of the box. So if it is, for instance, your dream to be a blogger, then obviously, Google how to set up a blog, Google websites that help you with templates, that help you with high resolution photos, with all of those steps that you need in order to create a successful blog. Of course, this is just an example, but we often don't even think that far, like, hey, let me Google how to, let me see if there are websites that can help me with this, where I can, just go with the flow. We often don't really think about that. The same comes for if you, for instance, have always wanted to start your own side hustle or your own main hustle. Take inspired action towards it. Be inspired by the people who have already done what you're trying to do. Pick up a book, listen to a podcast about where you're trying to go, or maybe of somebody in a completely different genre than you ever wanted to be in, as they may inspire you. They may give you ideas for whatever you're doing that you feel like, hey, this may really work for me in my field that I'm trying to accomplish my dreams in. So definitely start to take action, start to get, off the chair, off the couch, off the bed, and begin to really look into your dreams. Begin to take action towards it. So even if it's just, that extra 10 minutes a day, actually Googling facts about how you can start, how you can move forward, that is already so much more than if you would have never done that. I mean, just think about it, 10 minutes a day, each week, that's 70 minutes, a year. That's like, 3,600 minutes or something. That's like countless amounts of hours that you would have otherwise not spent on taking action towards your dream, on researching your dream, on making sure that you move forward in a confident way and you feel like you have a lot of cool ideas. So moving forward into your reading group number 3, in the rutilated quartz, I see that one of the changes that are coming to you have to do with your home. Your home, the rutilated quartz is all connected to your root chakra, where, your feet hit the ground, where you feel a place where you're safe. So I definitely see that there will be fundamental changes in your home. So you may be moving, or you may just be doing like a lot of DIY, a lot of home sort of reno, so to say. And I definitely see that your home is something where you can expect a lot of change, a lot of vibrational change even. So keep in mind that as long as you sort of remain calm, as we have in the calcite, that you sort of involve all of your chakras, every ounce of you, and you keep, a very cool energy and a very sort of cool you, it's not going to be an issue. Any change happening in your home is something that is going to happen with ease. You're going to see the positive aspects of change, and you're going to sort of rediscover your home as a very sacred place where you can retreat, where you can be yourself, where you can be at home, and you can practice how to remain calm, confident, and collected. So Obviously, calmness is something that you can work on by meditating. It's something that you can work on by being in tune with your body. So if you don't want to meditate, use this time to work out. Do, high intensity, low intensity. It doesn't matter as long as you are in your body and feeling every ounce of it, truly in touch with it. That is something that can already do so much for you. So in your imaginary friend, I see that changes that are coming soon are things of your childhood resurfacing, things from your childhood coming up again that you maybe haven't thought about in a long time. So maybe you see a cartoon or you hear a song that really reminds you of your childhood. It could also be a smell or a taste of something, and it sort of makes you go back into time. Obviously, mentally you think to yourself about all of the things that you've been through as a child, and there may have been situations that were not so great. There may have been abuse from people, there may have been bullying, they may have been situations of anxiety, stress, maybe even illness, sickness, and you've been through something that is going to, really make you think today, like, wow, I can't believe I overcame that, and I'm actually like sane. Like, I can't believe that I'm actually, doing life so well right now. So definitely make sure that you always see any of these memories as little treasures and as reminders of how far you've come, because you never want to think to yourself that anything in your childhood really shaped you in a negative way, because that will just snowball into something way bigger and into a bigger issue that it would have been if you would have never sort of researched it. So definitely be very careful with these childhood memories and try to always see the good, see the positive in them. In the bats in the belfry, I definitely see that you can achieve great things. That is change that I see coming for you mentally very shortly. I see you allowing yourself to go with the flow and not be afraid of what may happen if you just sort of let things happen, even if that means giving responsibility to other people. I definitely see that once you realize that, you will see that you can truly accomplish more than you ever expected, and that it's a lot easier than you thought it would ever be. So I definitely feel like group number 3, maybe you've been a little bit uptight recently, and your energy has been a little tight, and just loosening that grip and letting things flow a little easier is going to work wonders for you, and is going to allow you to achieve a lot more than when you're all uptight and bundled up into a little sort of fragment of yourself that you really don't need to be in. So group number 3, definitely make sure that you unleash any energy. Make sure that you do it in a very calm way, and that you find a good outlet, as we spoke about, meditating, working out, just being in your body and only focusing on your body. So group number 3, that is the reading that I received for you. I hope you enjoyed it and that you found it insightful, and I will see you in my next video. Hello group number 4, and welcome to your reading about the changes coming for you. So you chose the amber. So group number 4, first and foremost, obviously this is a beautiful stone, or not really a stone, because the amber is made up of fossilized tree resin. So this is something that you may or may not know, but either way, it's not actually a stone, it's not actually a mineral. So group number 4, that may mean that you're a lot more connected to the nature, to things that are alive than you really thought, or you may actually seek out a lot more of a connection when it comes to that. Either way, one of the reasons why you may have chosen the amber is the fact that you need to sort of recharge and regain your good vibes. So maybe you feel like your vibes have not been as good as they could be, or you feel like you had that time in your life where you were a lot more of a ray of positivity and you want to get back to it. But either way, you may have just resonated with the stone because it is so close to what is alive, closer than minerals, or because it's just beautiful. I mean, that could obviously also be a reason. So let's move into your reading, group number 4. So we have friendship, we have epiphany, we have receive, we have goddess, we have once upon a midnight dreary, a beautiful little worm, the fuchsite, as well as the blue lace agate. Okay, so group number 4, the changes coming for you that I see instinctively have a lot to do with an epiphany, with you seeking clarity and finding clarity. So group number 4, There may be mystery in your life. There may be a situation that you're not sure of. It could be a relationship. You know, we do have friendship in your reading. It may also be something that you've always wondered about that you've never truly come to a point that you understood. So it may have to do with spirituality. It may have to do with what is actually the proper diet for you that makes you thrive. It could also be, you know, what is the proper way for you to mentally set yourself up to win every single day. So either way, I mean, these are just examples. There's something in your life that is still a mystery, and I see that you going out and seeking that clarity, you may already be on the path of seeking clarity. I definitely see that this will lead to something. This is not just a tunnel without a light. You will definitely be able to get an epiphany out of this, to get this aha moment where you're like, oh my God, like, I should have known, or like, wow, like now I finally know. I've been wondering for such a long time. So group number 4, I definitely see that you don't need preparation for this. This is clarity. This is an epiphany that you have had coming for you, and you're completely ready for it. So obviously it could be about a friendship, and we do have friendship in your reading, and the fact that, you know, you have to nurture your relationship. So the epiphany may have to do with friendships, as in noticing that this person is low-key not my friend, or I low-key have been neglecting these friendship and relationships. So group number 4, if you feel like you haven't been spending enough time with your loved ones, with your friends, with the people who are closest to you, make sure that you nurture them. Make sure that you make them feel special, because sometimes we're just so sort of curled up in our own emotions, and especially if, you know, you're somebody who doesn't like to always share when you have issues or problems because you don't want to be a burden, you know, that is something that you may keep to yourself, and you may slowly start to distance yourself. But the thing is, you're trying to not be a burden, but your friends, your family feel like you're distancing yourself because you don't want to spend time with them. And since that is not the case, make sure that you're always open. Make sure that you always communicate and speak, as, you know, clarity is something that is not only essential for your epiphany, but also essential for your friendships and your relationships. So as touched upon, you know, there may be an epiphany in a relationship where you're like, okay, I thought we were cool, but clearly we're not. So that is also okay. And I know my channel is a space of spirituality and positivity, but at the same time, my channel is not a space to make it okay to be a pushover, or to make it okay to tell people, oh, just be a punching bag. That is not who I am, and that is not what my channel is about. I want you to feel good. I want you to feel empowered, and I want you to only have relationships in your life that are of mutual understanding, support, and love. And sadly, that is not always the case. Sadly, you know, sometimes we come to a realization that somebody that we've spent a lot of time, effort, maybe even money on, has never truly been that friend that we needed them to be. So, you know, we're all just human beings. We all make mistakes, and sometimes friendships are just meant to be for a certain amount of time. They're not always meant to be forever. There are friendships and relationships that are here to teach you lessons, that are here for a certain amount of time for a reason, you know? And I definitely see that that is something that you need to remember, and you need to have this clarity where you're like, okay, you know, I had a good time for the time being, but I've moved on. I've outgrown this relationship, and now it's time for me to spread my wings and fly on unto the next venture, and to allow other relationships and opportunities with other people into my life. So group number 4, let's move further into your reading. In the Goddess, I see that honoring your divine feminine energy is something that will come as a change. So you don't need to be a woman to honor your feminine energy. We all have masculine energy, and we all have feminine energy, but maybe you've been embracing a little bit too much of that masculine energy. And that is exactly why the Goddess has showed up in your reading. You have to see your inner beauty for what it is and love every part of that. So feminine energy is very dreamy energy. It's energy of, you know, a lot of creativity, and not necessarily energy that goes out there and acts immediately. So I definitely want you to sort of take time to bathe in that energy, if you will. I definitely want you to take time to appreciate your beauty on the inside as well as the outside. So know that once you come to that realization that your flaws actually make you special and different in an amazing way, that is when you start to realize that, you know, you are a goddess, you are, you know, a beautiful person, you are somebody who is deserving of love and light and respect. So make sure that you embrace that goddess side of you. Make sure that you take, you know, your feminine energy, that side of you that is a lot softer than the masculine side, to embrace who you are and to see beauty for what it truly is. And keep in mind that beauty is something that lies in the eye of the beholder. So something that you find beautiful, somebody else might not find beautiful. So that makes it very clear that you should just think of yourself as beautiful anyways. Like, there's no reason for you to nitpick things about yourself, because beauty lies in the eye of the beholder. So obviously, you know, if somebody doesn't like a flaw about you, that doesn't mean that it has to remain a flaw to you. That doesn't mean that it has to be something negative or something that isn't beautiful, because the next person might find that so-called flaw the most amazing thing ever about you. So make sure that you embrace your beauty, regardless of whether society sees any part of it as a flaw or as something that is acceptable and beautiful. You do beautiful, you create your own beauty and your own reality. You don't have to let other people's opinions or society dictate what beauty is to you. Keep that in mind. So in receive, I definitely see that you will experience change in being able to receive goodness and being open to receive goodness. So I definitely see that you sort of embracing this goddess energy, this feminine energy, and allowing yourself to know that you're worthy of abundance will allow a lot more gifts to come into your life. So know that you are worthy of abundance, which will come to you naturally once you embrace beauty. And I know that beauty seems like something so superficial, you know, flaws and this and that, but it goes deeper, because once you learn to embrace your exterior, it just makes you more beautiful on the inside. It just, like, when you feel when you feel beautiful, when you feel confident, it just changes your whole demeanor. It just changes your tone of voice. It changes the way you act, the way you speak. All of that, you know, it all sort of goes together. So that is why I also feel like if you want to change something about yourself, of course inform yourself, of course do research, but at the same time, don't deprive yourself of change if it'll make you happy and if it feels natural to you. So obviously be open to, you know, receiving goodness. Be open to receiving all of the rewards that come with you embracing your beauty and also embracing other people's beauty. So let's move further into your reading, group number 4. In a beautiful little worm, I definitely see that change that is coming for you is the realization that you have not been doing enough self-care and how important self-care really is. So I definitely see in the blue lace agate, you know, also a question of communication. So I feel like in correlation with the fact that you have to practice more self-care, I feel like your body, your soul will communicate this to you in a way that you will definitely understand. So if you've been burning the midnight oil, midnight candle, however that saying goes, if you've been sort of overworking yourself and you're close to where you feel like maybe, you know, it could be a burnout, I want you to know that that is not healthy and that is by no means self-care, and that your body will communicate to you that this is not okay and that it does not want to tolerate it. So group number 4, I want you to not allow the situation to escalate to that extent, because once you have gotten yourself to that point where your body shuts off, where you mentally are just done, there is often very, very little chance of turning back or reversing, and you will have to build everything from the ground up. So in the beautiful little worm, I want you to not neglect any part of you, no matter how teeny tiny or insignificant it may seem, because, you know, often the worm is seen as something that is insignificant. I want you to embrace all of those little things. It is a beautiful little worm, a beautiful little part of you, and don't allow it to die down. Don't allow that little ounce of you that needs more creativity or needs more time to itself or just needs a little shopping spree. Don't allow that to go without being fed. Don't starve any area of yourself, any area of your life, just because you feel like, oh, it's not worthy of taking care of, or it's not that significant. Because guess what? Worms are actually of a lot of significance in our ecosystem. Worms are very important to keeping everything going, feeding everybody, providing a lot of like service to the earth and like making the earth fertile. I'm not sure how to say it in English, but you guys know what I mean. You guys are so smart anyways. I don't even need to explain this. So yeah, see those parts of yourself that you may be neglecting right now, just as, you know, worms are very important actually, but easy to overlook. And that is exactly where the danger lies. So make sure that you don't allow it to get to that point where your body communicates with you that it just can't keep going. So obviously the blue lace agate is connected to the throat chakra. So communication is something that is key. Communication is something that will allow these changes to happen. So obviously in the epiphany, this realization will come through communication between you, your spirit guides, your inner self, and just you having those conversations with yourself. So communication, conversations don't always need to be had with other people. They don't always need to be had with the outside world. You can have conversations with yourself, and those conversations are often the most important conversations because you get to the bottom of your behavior, you get to the bottom of your feelings, and you allow change to happen. You allow things to get to a point where you can better yourself, where you can better your life, and where you can actually start enjoying life and know why you are the way you are. So moving further into your reading, once upon a midnight dreary, I definitely see that change that is coming for you is in the creative realm. So maybe you've not felt so creative recently, or you've been in a creative rut. And I definitely see that, you know, creativity, sort of writing, expression, artistic flow, all of those things are going to be experiencing change in your life. So obviously, I mean, this can go both ways. It may slow down a little because you're more focused on other things. It may also be exceptionally heightened. So either way, I definitely feel like creativity is something that if you feel like it's sort of dying down, it's not being taken care of, it's being a little bit neglected, I want you to make time for it, because creativity is something that truly, you know, can get you in this flow state and in this state where you're just relaxed and where you're just immersed in one task and you're not constantly thinking about what's going on in the world or checking your social media, your emails, etc. So see the value in being creative and being immersed in something, and also know that if you feel overly creative, if you feel almost like a genius, I want you to take that confidence and to continue like going with it, because often we feel intimidated by what has already been created by other people, that we're like, wow, like I could never create that, or that must have been a genius that drew that, that wrote that, that made that sort of music. And know that they were just a human being just like you, but the difference between them and yourself is the fact that they were probably overly confident. They were probably like, I'm a genius, I can do this. Because the people who are on top, who are artists that are maybe performing, maybe also just creating to a certain degree, they're confident in their abilities and they have courage, they have discipline, and they have this feeling where like, yeah, I can do it, you know, I can actually be at the top. And know that that reflects in your work. So never sort of belittle any creative work that you do, no matter how uncreative you feel like you are, no matter how bad you feel like you are at composing compared to somebody else, or drawing or writing. Never ever compare yourself. Always just compare yourself to who you were yesterday and the work that you created yesterday. In the fuck side, I see that healing is something that is important. Healing is change that is going to come with everything that is going on for you. So in your epiphany, that is something that I see as so important, as so essential for you to know that that is what this change is going to be based around. And you're going to be doing a lot of healing, a lot of recuperating, which leads me to think that this life-changing epiphany is something that is really going to shake you, is something that is really going to change you, or just change, you know, the way you do life and change a big part of your life. So it could be a relationship, it could be a realization that you're actually not happy where you are right now, be it in a job or, as I said, a relationship, or in a town that you live in, you know, something like that. And I definitely see that the change is going to take a lot out of you, and it's going to require self-care, as we already spoke about in the beautiful little worm, and it should not be neglected. So let healing happen, and know that healing is something that requires time. So think of it as like a wound or like a fractured bone. Know that in order for that to heal, in order for that to get to a point where it's better, where you don't notice that it was there anymore, you need time and you need to take care of it. You need to put ointments on it. You need to make sure that you check on it, that you bandage it if you must, and you just have to let it rest. So know that any parts of you that feel raw, that feel emotional, don't sort of poke at them. Don't try to interact with those parts. Let them heal at their own pace, and let them sort of take the time that they need in order to just align back into your life. Because, you know, things can't always be perfect. We can't always mentally be in a place where we feel 100% satisfied or stable, because sometimes things are in the works, sometimes we're transitioning, or there are changes happening, there are things going on in our minds that just need time to be processed. So allow your brain, allow yourself that time, and don't ever deprive yourself of giving yourself time to heal. So group number 4, that is the reading that I received for you. I hope you found it insightful and interesting, and I will see you in my next reading.